Theory Thursday. Welcome to Theory Thursday. Because my thumbs are still pretty fucked, unfortunately that means today I'm going to be talking more about theory, but not just talking. We need to do lots of playing instead. So today's actually going to be a little bit about improvisation and sort of understanding how keys, scales and things like that fit together. So hopefully they're not as terrifying. Or if you don't know about them, then hopefully you know a bit more about them. Now, what you just saw was video me, not this video me, other video me, somewhere else. I was playing some chords. They're all from the key of G. Now I'm going to talk about the key of G in a little while. Now, one of me was doing that, and then the other me was playing basically different riffs, but all using a G major scale. Now, the first thing you need to know is that a key and a scale fit together very well. So if you're playing in the key of G, a G major scale works perfectly alongside that. Now, when we say a major scale, basically major scales are a collection of notes, 7 notes, and basically you have to have one of every alphabet. For example, a C major scale is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. You have to have one of each alphabet. You can't ever have 2 of the same alphabet. You can't have 2 A's, 2 B's, etc. World would explode, loads of people would die, it'd be awful. So in a G major scale, we have G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Now realize that's not, I said the word F sharp, not F. I can't talk about that today, but just trust me on it's an F sharp and not an F. So basically all I'm doing is I know where those notes live on my ukulele, and the best way to play them, lots of scales we can constantly play in a closed position, like that. Which for today's exercise, we're going to look at it, but spreading it across 2 strings so it's easier to play. So first of all, let's learn the scale, how I positioned it on the ukulele. Now we start off on the 4th string as a nice open, that's your G. Then we're going to go over to the A string and play it open. And now that's your A note, so we go G, A. Then we're going to stick on the A string, okay? So we're going to play 2nd fret, which is a B. Then we're going to play 3rd fret, which is a C, 5th fret, which is a D, 7th fret, which is an E, 9th fret, which is an F sharp, and then the 10th fret, which takes you back to G. So it's worthwhile just practicing this, going up the scale, and then I've also written it backwards because it's very, very, very useful to go down it. So practice that first. I would use your thumb to play the G string, and I'd maybe use your index finger or your middle for the 1st string. Right, so you can play G major scale, now what? Okay, now scales are actually very useful because in pretty much any song you ever listen to, the melody of the song, whether it's a riff or whether the vocal melody, is most likely the scale from the key you're playing. So if someone's playing the key of G, it's probably coming from a G major scale, okay? Now that can't be blanketed across all music. I'm giving you a very simplified version for today, but just so we see how it works, okay? So we're gonna play something in the key of G, which means we need a melody and basically that is G. So we're gonna use a G major scale. Now, a very, very, very nice way to basically turn your scales more melodic is constantly returning to the 1st note, which is a G. Now on our ukulele, we're very lucky because we have a whole string dedicated to the G. So that's why when we played our scale, most of it is on the A string. So basically we can play it on the A string, but constantly return to the G string afterwards. So in our second example of the scale on the sheet, we're going to play basically a note from the scale. So the 1st note was the open 4th string, and then we're going to play the open 4th string because that's the G. Then we're going to go to the 2nd note of the scale, which was your open A string, and then we're going to return to your G. Then we're going to go to the next note scale, which is second fret there, B, and then open G. So basically, you're running through your scale, but you're just adding an open G string after each one, because it starts to become more melodic and it sounds more like a riff. Like that, okay? Now when playing this, like I said, I would alternate between using your thumb for the open G string and then using your index or your middle finger for the scale on the A string. Right, when you've run up your scale a couple of times and you're sort of confident as to which notes you're attacking, so which frets, then we can start to improvise a bit more. Now, when I say improvise, basically it's sort of making up stuff on the spot, but you don't have to be too scared. Your scale is basically all the correct notes. They're all the notes that will sound absolutely beautiful. So you can play any of those notes in any order and it should sound okay, right? So for example, obviously we've been running through our scale from the starting. So I could actually pick anywhere in the middle of that scale. So I could pick going from the 7th fret and go up there. And I don't have to constantly play either. I could go and then finish there and then go to somewhere else on my scale and jump around a little bit. So every time at the moment, I'm always adding the open G because just on the ukulele it sounds so beautiful. And like I said, you can play any of this scale in any order. I'm just playing the open G after everything. Now, you don't have to put the open G after everything either. You could run up and down your scale and play any notes in order, as long as the chords that you're playing over are in the key of G. Okay. Now at the bottom of the sheet, I've written a big scary word which says diatonic chords of G major, but basically it just means all of the chords in the key of G. So Sammy, what the fuck does the key of G actually mean? All it means is basically you only use the notes from the major scale. So all the notes that we just talked about, you're only allowed to use those, and those are the ones that appear in the chords. So again, today I haven't got time to talk about how chords are formed, but basically all of our chords in order that we can use go G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, and E minor, okay? All of those chords, all the notes within those chords, all come from the G major scale. That's it, they don't use any other note outside of it. And that's why you can play the scale on top of those chords and they all sound actually okay together, okay? And that's sort of what you would do if you were improvising. So that's what I was doing earlier. So I was playing a G, G major 7, D, and C. And then I was having a little walk up and down my scale. So, I have 2 jobs for you today, okay? And not just today, obviously in life in general. Sorry mate, always fucking jobs, right? What I'd like you to do is the diatonic chords at the bottom, pick 2, 3, 4, 5, however many you want, and just have a little strum through them. Okay, and then if you can record yourself playing that, and then basically use that as a backing track for you to improvise over. If you're like, fucking hell mate, that sounds like too much hard work, then I'm gonna put out a reel of me just playing some backing chords and you can remix that reel with you just practicing over the top of it, okay? Obviously you don't have to remix it, do what the fuck you want, but you can use it as a practice tool just to play a little bit and improvise over using this G major scale. Quickly, I've used too many videos, so I'm gonna put the sheet in my stories. Please screenshot it there instead. Love you, goodbye. Mwah!